Hey guys, welcome back to our M&M Rustics channel. Today we're going to be bringing you a really exciting DIY for the most horrendous farmhouse bathroom makeover that we have ever done. It was so much work, but let's hop on into the video. Alright guys, like I said, we're M&M Rustics. If you are new here, welcome. We would love if you considered subscribing to our channel. We are a custom furniture and like built-in design company, and we've been doing this for about 5 years. We started out with making signs and then kind of just like slowly morphed into doing more like furniture and gates and barn doors, all of the trending things that we were being asked and requested to make for our customers. Now we focus a lot on DIYs. We want to start to open up our book of secrets, just things that we have learned throughout the years of making furniture. We want to share some of those secrets with you guys, not necessarily secrets, but just like self-taught things that nobody really tells you or teaches you when you're like, oh, I want to do like home projects and renovations and things like that. And we are homeowners ourselves, and we do a lot of DIYs here ourselves. So this is a kickoff to our new series here on YouTube, which is home renovations and DIYs. We're so excited to be sharing all of our ups and downs and mistakes, and this has been a long time coming, so welcome to our M&M Rustics YouTube channel. Okay guys, so I took this footage like 6 months ago. This is from like probably March, and then we took the summer off from doing DIYs because we were busy with orders and we were busy with my personal YouTube channel, which will be linked down below for you guys if you're curious. I'm very needy. Okay, now get down please. Oh, thank you. Okay. So what I'm going to do to try and salvage this footage and piece it together for you guys is I'm going to explain how we did this step by step, give you some example footage and some before pictures. So first, let's start with a before picture. Right here, this is your before picture of what our bathroom looked like. We just have it was just like builder grade. We built our house with a local home builder and it was just very builder grade. Still not super loving it. Like the counter definitely needs to be replaced because once those went up in our house, it wasn't exactly what we were expecting. So those definitely need to be replaced. But this is the before of what our bathroom looked like. One day I was laying in bed, and this is quarantine. This is, I call it quarantine Joanna syndrome. When women lay in bed and they think that they're Joanna Gaines in quarantine and decide that they and their husbands or significant others are going to tackle DIY projects. Quarantine Joanna. So that was me. And I'm laying there and I'm like, you think we should just tile the shower this weekend? And my husband insanely agreed, and then about $1,000 later, here we were. I would say all in all, this cost us anywhere from $800 to $1,000. I'd say closer to the 800 mark because we had originally priced out $600. So now that you have seen the before, you know how much it cost. Let's get into how we did this bathroom makeover. You guys are very capable of doing this yourselves. I promise you, if Mike and I were able to do this, you're able to do this. But it's gonna take some time. So be patient, be kind, and learn to love the process. I hated the process. So here in this footage, you can see that Mike is doing some demo. So the first step is demo day. This was Mike's favorite day. And here in this footage, you can see that we had already gotten the shower down. So our shower actually came in 2 pieces. There was a bottom plate portion, and then on the top were these removable panels. So Mike had cut down the sheetrock from on top of the panels and then pulled the panels up and out. Here's some footage of just like the bare basics. Step 2, to your subway tile, beautiful farmhouse bathroom, you are going to need to put up some Durarock. Where your panels used to be, you're going to want to put Durarock there. And there are more steps to just putting the Durarock in. We picked up a total of 4 sheets of Durarock from Home Depot. Very inexpensive, super affordable. Okay, so to cut the holes in the Durarock, we used an oscillating saw. So it's just like an oscillating multi-tool. We have a Milwaukee brand, I believe, and we used that to cut around all of like the holes for like the the faucet and like the shower head. Also used it to cut the cubbies out because we chose to install cubbies in our shower, and then we used some heavy duty screws to secure the Durarock into the studs. Very simple. It sounds a lot harder. It seems a lot more intimidating, but once we got into it, we realized it wasn't that bad. Like I said, with the cubbies, all we did is we used 2x4s to kind of like notch out where we wanted our like shampoo, conditioner, like body wash holders to be. And we used our shampoo bottles to kind of map that out and to make sure that it was going to be big enough to hold those, because how crappy would that be to get to the end and realize your shampoo and conditioner bottles don't even fit. So we made sure that they would fit ahead of time, and then we used extra pieces of Durarock to kind of get in and around that space. And tiling that was not fun, but I'll tell you what, at the very end, I am so thankful that we did this little notch out, because I have so much more storage in my shower now compared to before, and I love it. So highly recommend doing the little notch out. It's not that much more work, and it didn't really cost us any extra money. Like I said, we just used some 2x4s laying around in the garage. Super simple. Next thing up is we wanted to tape the Durarock. Okay, so when it came to taping the Durarock, it was a little bit sticky. I'll have everything linked down below for you guys. All products that we used will be linked down below, and some of the tools that we used will also be linked down below. We taped it, and then we used a mortar. And once that mortar was set up, you can tell in the video here that it went from a really dark to a really light. We let that dry for as long as the instructions had required. We followed the back of the container instructions, let that mortar set. Next step was the waterproofing. So we used a membrane. I'll leave it linked down below for you guys, and you can just roll it on like paint. We went to the very top of where the shower used to be. Super simple. Once the membrane was dry, it was ready for the tile to be set, and I was so excited for this part, but little did I know that it was going to be so intense. We used the traditional subway tiles. I believe these are 3x6. They could have even been 2x4s. Like I said, it's been a while now since we've done this DIY. I will have the ones that we got linked down below for you guys. I'll have the 2x4s and the 3x6s linked just in case, but I had individually hand laid every single one of these tiles. I used a chalk line to get my first line nice and level. The first line is very important, especially since the tray of our shower is not level, it's not even. There's like dips and such on there. I wanted to make sure that my first line was going to be perfect. And I let that first line set first for about 12 hours. I did it before I went to bed one night. Let that first line of tile really get nice and set before I continued with the rest of the tiles. To lay the tiles, I used mastic, and we got one of the really big guys from Menards. You can get the big ones at Home Depot as well. We just prefer Menards because it's the closest to our house. I used mastic, and we went through a ton of it. And tile spacers, you guys, you're going to need a lot of tile spacers. You will need tile spacers for every single side of every single tile, and you can do this in sections and let sections dry so that you don't have to buy as many tile spacers, but they're cheap enough that if you wanted to do it all at once, it wouldn't be too terribly expensive. But like I said, you are going to want to put spacers in between every single tile and to make sure that every single line is even. So for laying the next rows of tile, what I decided to do was to stagger them. My stagger wasn't perfect by any means, but you should definitely work from the middle out so that you're having the cut pieces be on the ends and not in the middle. So that is what we did here. You can see we don't have any cut pieces in the middle. Those cut pieces are on the ends, and it was easier for me to kind of hide any like jagged cut edges with like grout. When I was tiling, I would start like the second or third tile in on the line below, and I would take my tile, put it on top, and make sure that the center of my tile was lined up perfectly with the center of the crack, and then I would continue my row, and whenever I got to a cut, I would take a tile, mark it with a Sharpie, set it to the side, move on to the next row until I couldn't go any farther, and then I would bring my tiles down to the tile saw. Actually, Mike did this for me, brought it down to the tile saw, and he would trim them, and then I would just kind of puzzle piece them in. But the biggest thing is you don't want to be running back and forth to your tile saw while you're going. And the second biggest thing is to make sure that you are not tiling from side to side, because then you're going to have the cut pieces be in the middle, and it's just not going to turn out as nicely. Ours didn't turn out perfectly by any means, but this is just what worked the best for us. So for the cubbies were not fun. I don't have a ton of really good advice for the cubby part, but we used the mosaic sheets, just like a 12 by 12 sheet mosaic in a design that we liked. We wanted it to be similar but different. So we got the same white color tile, but we got it in circles so that it would accent the subway tile, but was still a little bit different. You will need to make some very teeny tiny little cuts with these guys if you choose to do the same mosaics as we did. It's my least favorite part of tiling, but it needs to be done. So you just take a bunch of like half of those circles, so you cut a bunch of those circles in half. It's just fine to cut through that 12 by 12 mosaic sheet. We bought a couple of extras so that we could cut them apart, and then we would cut the little circle guys into quarters and thirds and halves, and then we would puzzle piece those into what looked the best for the edges and the corners. Once we had gotten most of the sheets put in, I believe this took about 2 sheets and then a third one for some of those extra pieces. And I just kept going and going and going with the tiling. When it came to tiling around, I wanted to make sure that there weren't any goofy cuts, so I just did my best judgment. I used my best judgment for placement, and I wanted to make sure that we were going to be even on every single row. So just keep that in mind when you're going around. It will work itself out. You will figure it out as you go. Once you get to the cubby, you will see where it needs to be cut. Take your Sharpie, cut it down. If it doesn't work, do it again. And your next step, which is your messiest step, is going to be grouting. So grouting was a lot of fun, but also frustrating at the same time. Getting that consistency just right in your sponge is super difficult, but once you get there, man, it feels so good. Down below, I will have the grout that we used. It was really hard to find a black grout locally for us. We went to 3 different hardware stores or home improvement stores, and we finally found this, I believe, at Home Depot, but we wanted a black, not a charcoal. We wanted a true black, and it took us a long time to find a good one. But like I said, black, not fun to deal with when it comes to wiping it off. So our process is, once we would get a good section grouted, we would kind of let it dry a little bit according to the instructions on the back, right? We just always follow the instructions, you guys. I promise you, the instructions are there for a reason. So once you get it to the point where it's ready to be wiped off, use your sponge, and I would use a damp but not wet sponge, but not too dry sponge, and I would wipe away the excess grout, okay? And my biggest thing is I wanted to get it just below like that bull-nosy type of edge, so that the lines were really nice and clean and thin instead of thick, because with subway tiles, it's not like bullnose, but they do have a little bit of a rounded edge going on here. So I made sure to get in there really good, and this took away my fingernails. It was terrible. I dug out every single little like channel, every single line, made sure that it was perfect and was thin, and I use a flour sack towel to do this in combination with my sponges, and that is what worked out the best. And also to shine up your tiles when you're all done, I used a paper towel. So here we are replacing our shower head with a new one, and I'm not going to get into the logistics of this one because we really had no idea what we were doing. We just wanted to make sure that the copper pipe was going to fit the new like fitting for the shower head. We had to do a couple of things to make that happen. Copper pipe is very finicky, and if you like knock it out of place or like bend it a little bit, it will affect the fitting like going on. So we had just gotten a couple of quick adapters to make this happen. So it wasn't exactly a perfect fit. These quick connectors, we were able to make it happen, like I said, and we have had no leaks. It is beautiful. I am very, very happy with it. All of the links for that will be down below. I will go into a more detailed step-by-step on this plumbing instructional guide for our next bathroom, which we plan to do a DIY on very soon, but this is a little bit more complicated than I want to get into in today's video. So know the quick adapters are your friends, and the home improvement people are there to help you out. I went in and I got the adapters myself. The gentleman at Menards was nice enough to help me out, so highly recommend that you just go in there and get some advice from them. They are there to help you. That's what they're there for. After we got our shower head and the shower handle in, we started on the shiplap. We we used sheets of MDF that we had cut down to 8 inches. I'm not a huge fan of thinner shiplap. I don't like the 6-inch. I think it looks too busy, so we always cut our own, and we just take MDF sheets. I've seen people do plywood, which is even cheaper, and then you cut it down with a table saw into 8-inch strips. We used kind of just like a little like buffer, like trim piece in between where the shiplap was going to go and where the shower was. We just use a 1x2 for this, like very just itty bitty little guy, just a little trim piece. Looks so nice, creates a really nice transition. And also you can see here on the ceiling in the bathroom that we got some grout up on the ceiling, and that's okay because we plan to paint the ceiling black here very soon, or to beadboard it. I don't know, I can't really decide what I want to do. Maybe leave it in the comments down below. Should I paint the ceiling black or should I do a little bit of a white beadboard? Tell me, what do you think? I had forgotten to take footage of me painting the shiplap, but I would recommend a paint and primer all in one coat, because otherwise it's going to be a royal pain. We've been using MDF, but if you use MDF, you need to make sure that you sand it down really well, because otherwise there's going to be little like textures and like fibers in there. But if you want an easier way of doing this, I would just tell you to go with plywood. This way you're going to get a little bit of a wood texture, but you will not have any of those like little fibrous textures in there. It was such a pain in the butt for me, something that we definitely had to learn our way through, but sanding is your friend when it comes to MDF. And here are the final results for our bathroom. We are very happy with it. We ended up doing a floating shelf in there, bought the brackets from Menards, these black brackets, and then this was just a piece of lumber that we had laying around in the garage from a leftover like order, and we just stuck it up on the wall, threw up some Farmhouse hooks from Amazon, which I'll have linked down below for you guys. And this mirror is just from Kirkland, like literally 10 years ago, and then I just chalk painted it with black chalk paint, and it is a whole new mirror. Next thing on my list is to replace the countertop. We did replace the faucet. It was super easy. I'll have that link down below for you guys as well. It was black and modular, and it matched our shower head, so it went together really nicely, and it was a pretty quick, like, plop it on, or turn the water off, plop off the old silvery gross Moen faucet, and then put on the nice black faucet. Haven't had any leaks with this faucet. I've really enjoyed it, and I really like that, like really like the crisp, modular, modern, like black design of it. Super nice. But anyways, this bathroom came together so nicely. The reason why we didn't carry the shiplap on the one wall is because we are going to be knocking that out. We are completely redoing our closet this winter. Another DIY coming for you guys in the very near future for that one. That is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this DIY of how we did our farmhouse style bathroom. Like I said, we are not professionals. We figured this out as we went. We did turn to professionals for some help and assistance, especially over at Home Depot and Menards. We will be redoing 2 more bathrooms in our house here in the very near future, so we will have some really detailed step-by-steps for you guys. I hope that we've inspired you to do your own DIYs in your own house, and we will catch you guys next week for another really fun DIY where you will get to meet my husband and he will be giving you the rundown on that DIY. Okay, bye you guys.